Before we start, I would love to learn a little bit about, your journey. How did you get into yoga?
Again, body mind. Body was cracking and mind was absolutely the lowest level. And that's when we started searching about yoga, that how yoga can help me. Because the rest of the medical science has already recommended me a bad kind of a spinal surgery. I had a major slip disc of the lumbar and also cervical. So much so that the entire lumbar and the entire cervical disc were prolapsed. So there was no disc in place, correct position. As a scientist, I decided not to go for the surgery because that was not the cure. That was temporary, just little bit of relief for a while. Because
So
in surgery, you cut open, you remove the disc, you do not replace.
you said as a scientist. So were you studying science?
Yeah, I am a trained microbiologist, and I was doing my masters, and obviously because I was struggling with my own health, so I was quite a bit correlating and studying about myself. So knowing this fact, I had decided not to go for this.
How old were you when this happened?
26. No, how old I was when I was 15.
You were 15 when you had slip disc.
Yeah. So by the time I reached to the 26, I was in a wheelchair. So my father had this major belief that only the Indian system of science or medicine, whatever you call, will cure me. And he figured out that yoga has a major possibility. And then Nanaji Deshmukh gave us this picture of B.K. Iyengar. When I met Mr. Iyengar, I felt for the first time how small as a scientist we know. Because till I met Mr. Iyengar, there was no MRI in India.
Oh.
So what used to happen, I will go for the X-rays and X-ray will never show. And all the entire doctor fraternity, who were very close friends of ours, the top notch, will say, oh, the girl child has a very weak musculature. So that's the reason back is hurting. Till the time I reached to the position where I couldn't move. And then I got the MRI done. In 1992, the MRI came into India. But when I met Mr. Iyengar, he didn't ask anything. He saw my body, he saw my skin, and then he diagnosed himself that I have a slip disc of XYZ reason. I have this issue, I have that issue. And I was like, wow, this is a scientist, not me.
He just saw you.
He just saw me. And he saw this much of neck skin. And he said, this is what you have. I never showed Mr. Iyengar any MRI. I never said what I had. He just saw me and started talking about these things. And that became a major attraction for me. So when I started learning from him, of course, the first idea was to heal, to get out of the pain. But I remember clearly once he was treating me, but my pain was not going away. And then I came back to Delhi for some work, and suddenly the pain shot up like crazy, and I had to go back to MRI. And there the doctor said, well, it is quite possible that you are having now the spinal tuberculosis, because the shadows are like that. And I was aghast because, just few months ago, I started working, walking, using my limbs with Iyengar, and now this is the news. So with a choked throat, I flew back to Pune, and I met Mr. Iyengar. He was lying down in his couch, and I said, Guruji. And he said, yes, good to see you here. What happened? I said, sir, this is what the doctors are saying. And he got up from the couch and he was really angry. He said, you people have too much of money to go for these kind of pictures. You don't have anything. I said, sir, really? But the MRI film has this duplicacy. Nonsense. So I couldn't stop myself, though we didn't have guts to ask questions to him because he was the authority. I said, so but how can you say that? And he said, it was 8:30 in the morning. He said, can't you see your skin? So I was like, my skin? He said, the skin is shining. The skin which shines like this is a healthy sign. You can't have infections. You have injuries, but you can't have infections. Go back and throw these pictures from machines. I don't believe in them. And the luck would happen, there was no TV, nothing, because I had to go back again for the next MRI. And he said, look, I told you. Now, till the time I don't say you are not going to go back for the MRIs. Now, this became a very attractive point for me as a scientist and as a patient. That how did he do that? So later, when I became his quite a favorite student, and he used to treat me like his own daughter or granddaughter, whatever you say. One day I asked him, I said, sir, it has been now 8-10 years, but the thing which I want to learn from you is to learn this art. How do you see that and say that you don't have this, you have this? Because in the class he was teaching one pose called Uttanasana, and where he was teaching me that look at the hair follicles of the body, the leg. This Uttanasana is wrong. Because the direction of the hair follicle is wrong.
Wow.
So his practices was that deep. So he used to have this fine sensibility about the health of
Precision.
the body. Health of the body, that if this is what, then this is what. And I was zapped. I mean, everybody was very astonished, but I was like, this art I have to learn. Come what may. This is what yoga is, because it takes you within the body.